All right, so much to John's dismay, I'm going to take the shades off for the rest of the show. But it was a really fascinating Whitney day, really eventful Whitney day. Unfortunately, again, one of the main stories was the decision to take some races or to cancel some races. We lost the Saratoga Derby and the Troy Stakes, at least for a week. They're rescheduled for this coming Saturday, August 10th. I feel like that decision could have been made a little earlier, but nevertheless, with how soft the turf seemed on Sunday, it probably was the right decision in the end. And we're looking forward to getting those races back running on Saturday. But as far as the Whitney goes, it looked like a pretty stacked race on paper. And we talked about it last week. Like, National Treasure was just going to be an underlay. There was too much speed. He didn't get to go to the lead. He did kind of sit a good pocket trip under Johnny Velasquez. Maybe he should have been more aggressive, but he wasn't going to win that race, even if he was on the front end. He was not good. And I think, in a division that's crying out for a leader, Arthur's Ride took that mantle, at least temporarily. He had been very, very impressive in a couple of allowance races earlier this year, sandwiched around a clunker that he ran at Churchill Downs. But he just took that race, took the bull by the horns, and, was clearly much the best winner. The pace was quick. And that was one of the days, John, this was finally a day where it felt like closers had a real chance. Mm-hmm. And it's been pretty speed favoring pretty much since Belmont at Saratoga. This was the first weekend that I really felt like it was a fair track and closers had a fair shot. And, a couple of closers did come, Krupe, post time. That photo went the other way. I would have hit for like $4,000, but that's neither here nor there, unfortunately. But yeah, John, what was your takeaway from the Whitney?
Well, the Whitney, we had promoted it as being a very stacked race, and certainly it was, Joe. I mean, it was nice to see a full field running in a grade one, and there have been a lot of grade ones where we've kind of scratched our head and said, well, maybe next year it won't be. This Whitney group certainly, cemented the fact that this was a legitimate grade one from top to bottom. I think we talked about 6 horses in the race last week, and we didn't even get to a couple of them. I think at the end you did like a quick recap saying we didn't even talk about First Mission. We didn't even talk about Warrior Johnny. It was chock full of some really good horses. But Joe, I am so proud of the fact that you and I called this at exactly, for those of you who are scoring at home, at last show at minute mark 37, you talked about the fact that National Treasure wasn't going to win the race, or it was going to be a complete overlay. And at 39.22 to 39.40, I said, the main thing with National Treasure is wherever he is at the half-mile marker, that's where pretty much he finishes. He doesn't pass horses. The horse is a very nice horse. The horse has made $5.5 million. Anyone and their brother would love to have him in their barn. But at the end of the day, he's a miler. And it's surprising to say that, being that he's a quality road out of a Medaglia d'Oro mare, but that's really his niche, is to run in that, 8, maybe 8.5 furlongs. And you say, well, John, 9 furlongs isn't much further. But at this level, with this group of horses, it is a big, big difference. But let's talk more about the winner, Arthur's Ride. And we did talk about the fact that if he put a line through the one race at Churchill that he really finished up the racetrack, he was an up-and-coming horse. And again, shows that the Tappets are a little funky mentally, but they are solid runners. And I thought that Junior Alvarado actually did 2 really good things, that day. One was get the horse out in front and basically slow the pace down. And I say slow, with air quotes, because he went 10-1. It wasn't like he was going, 14 and change, for 6 furlongs. But he hustled to the front, never looked back, and finished. And then the horse was so full of run, Joe, that after the race was over, like, Junior Alvarado almost literally got thrown off the horse, did a perfect dismount. The Olympic team would be very proud of the way that he stuck the landing, and then got back on the horse. And the horse was still full of energy and full of run. So Arthur's Ride, is coming in the 11th hour, but he is really proving to show that he is a legitimate horse. And how about his first stake win is the Grade 1 Whitney?
Yeah, well, he got a 110 buyer too, which is legit Grade 1 older male number, and probably I don't even know if you'd have to run that high of a figure to win the Classic this year.
I don't think so.
Probably not. So he definitely is the leader in the clubhouse right now. Obviously, still a lot to happen. To me, another result from the weekend that made me wish the horse was in the Whitney was Next, winning the Birdstone, which, he just galloped, and that's what he does every single time. And it just is getting a little boring. I gotta be honest. Like he's a very admirable horse, and it's great to see him strut his stuff. It's really cool to see a horse that's still built to go these long distances. God knows we have so few of those in today's racing business. But man, like, can we challenge him? Like I'm dying to see him have a real challenge because he obviously is unbelievably talented and admirable, and probably one of the greatest claims of the last 50 years. Honestly, can't think of, Lava Man comes to mind, but there's not that many where the horse claimed, turns around, becomes like a legitimate grade 1 type horse. But we don't know. We don't know if he's a legitimate grade 1 type horse because connections won't test him in a grade 1. And it's unfortunate. And, the only explanation that you could possibly have is that he didn't run in the Whitney because the Whitney's too short. It's a mile and an eighth. This horse really does his best running at 10 furlongs and up. But the Jockey Club Gold Cup is coming up in a handful of weeks. That's a mile and a quarter. The Classic is a mile and a quarter. You tell me that next really needs to go a mile and a half. He couldn't do that going a mile and a quarter. That's unfortunate, I think, but obviously it's still cool. It's still cool to see him do his thing. Great call from Frank Miramati urging the crowd to cheer him on through the stretch because it just was never in any doubt. But yeah, that was the other takeaway for me from the weekend, John, was just I really, really want to see Next run against these top level horses.
Yep. And Joe, it's interesting. You talk about a horse like Next and again, a phenomenal claim. And won the race by 20. How many lengths did he win it by?
20 something.
20 something lengths. Yeah. And I read on Twitter. I didn't look up to see obviously if it's true. It's like 27 lengths to second place and 97 lengths to third.
Yeah. Third finisher was beaten 96 and a quarter. That was that we were watching.
I thought that was a typo. I swear to God, I really did. But let me just jump in and finish my thought for a second. How about the fact that you look at for versatility in horses, you look at versatility for sires. How about not this time having the best marathoner in Next and arguably the fastest horse on grass in Cogburn? I mean, different distances, different surfaces, and equally as explosive in their respective fields. Not this time is quickly becoming, and he's a young horse, quickly becoming one of these stallions that may really make an impression on our industry. 20 years from now, we're going to be like, wow, we had Gun Runner and Not This Time in the same generation.
Yep. No, he's special, and we'll talk about him a little bit with the sale because he also had the sale topper overnight at Phasic Saratoga. But yeah, just looking at the chart, he won by 22 and a quarter, and then the second horse was 96 and a quarter lengths clear of third. The third finisher was beaten 118 and a half lengths. The fourth finisher unfortunately got pulled up, did not finish the race. I shouldn't say finisher. It was kind of funny, honestly. We were watching, not that the horse got pulled up, but we were watching the post bar, and we were waiting for Slip Mahoney to cross the wire because you got to do it. You got to do it to cash that third check.
To get the money. Yeah.
Waiting. And he finally crossed the wire. Everybody bursts out into cheers. That was fun. But that's kind of emblematic of what kind of field this was. One horse didn't even finish the race. One got beaten 118 lengths.
Right. I think you and I with track shoes could finish within 120 lengths of Next.
Me, probably. I don't know about you.
Hey, listen, buddy. Even though I'm still, I got some weight on me. I'm still running sub 10-minute miles.
Okay. All right. I don't know that. That's impressive.
Yeah. I can still do it. It still means that I probably would have finished like 800 lengths behind Next, but that's all right. We'll take the self adulation. Well,
we should make that into like the Giants Jets bet of some sort. Like you gotta do like a public run of humiliation or something if the Giants have a worse record than the Jets.
I don't think our viewers want to see that.
No, yes they do, John. Yes, that's everything tells me. Everybody tells me on the sales grounds. You gotta humiliate John a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm sure they say that. There's no question. There's no question they say that. Joe, by the way, speaking of athletic abilities, so I finished third in my pickleball. Thank you for asking. I finished third in my pickleball tournament on Sunday, which means I got black type.
Oh, all right. Update to the catalog.
The catalog. That's right. We need for Ariane Bloodstock to update my lineage.
The question is, the black type. Do they give out bronze medals in pickleball?
I do. I actually have the bronze medal. You want me to go get it? I have the bronze medal. When we come back from this commercial, I'll be adorning the brass tacks.
I can't wait.
As it were. I think I do have it here. Oh no! Oh, it's in my pickleball bag. Sorry. It's not